The Initiator role, one of the most forgotten and underutilized class of agents in Valorant. While they may be small in numbers, the impact they have on the games they are in are far from negligible. Who are the best initiators? What maps do they perform the best on? Which one should I learn first? Those are all probably questions you have in your head right now, and today we plan on answering all of them. What is up, ProGuides family? It is your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we're going to be doing an ultimate initiator comparison. I will be walking you through the initiators and when you should play each of them. We will be going over the benefits of each initiator and how to use each of them respectively. But before we get into the video, you guys know what time it is. That is right, it is time for our question of the day. Today's question is, what class of agents do you find the most success with in game? Personally, I find the most success with duelists and initiators. Their playstyles allow for me to have a much greater active influence on the games that I play in. This allows me to win more games because I have a much better chance of taking over when I pop off in game. Let us know in the comment section down below what class is your best. Now let's hop right into the video. Initiators are a very unique but powerful role in Valorant. Containing only 3 agents currently in the class, initiators might not be the most frag-heavy agents, but what they lack in firepower, they make up for in utility and facilitating their team with info. Initiators have the main role of helping their team take bomb sites on attack with utility and intel, and locking down bomb sites on defense with their lethal and non-lethal abilities. This guide will break down the abilities of each agent, which are the best in solo queue and which are the best for team play. Now let's start this comparison off with Breach. Breach has been in the spotlight recently as not only one of the best initiators, but as one of the best agents in Valorant. In patch 1.07, Breach got several major buffs to his kit that made him a staple in the Valorant meta. These buffs have made Breach the ultimate team facilitator in Valorant. Do you need to push an AWPer off of his angle? Breach's fault line will stun him and descope him. Do you need a deep corner to be cleared out from a hiding enemy? Breach's aftershock will clear them out in seconds. Do you need a distraction to burst on the site? Breach's kit is now equipped with 3 flashes to keep enemies blind constantly. And let's not forget about his ultimate, which is a get on to sight free card, especially after its speed buff, which makes it near impossible to outrun. Now, if we're going to start off with the benefits about Breach, we have to talk about his flashes. After his flashpoint ability got a huge buff of increasing the max charge on this ability to 3, Breach is now a force to be reckoned with in game. Having 3 flashes at his disposal means a lot more opportunities for your team to have an easier entry onto site. Enemies that hide in sites will now have to respect Breach having more flash charges by hiding in places that allow them to look away faster. Even his ability wind-up time for flashpoint got a slight buff, so now Breach can use his flashes more aggressively to blind people when he's in a pinch. A big strength of this ability that other flash agents do not have is the range at which his flashes can be used. Breach can support his team from far away by using his flashes through walls and objects that are in front of him. This allows for him to keep his distance and allow for his duelists to play off his long-range abilities. It is worth noting you should always communicate with your team before using this ability so that you don't blind them and cause more problems for your team. Or worse, you can get them killed and alert the enemy to your team's position. Breach's aftershock ability is pretty straightforward. This ability equips a fusion charge, and upon firing the charge, there will be a slow-acting burst through a wall, object, or flat surface. This ability will do massive damage to anyone caught in its area of effect. In some cases, this ability is powerful enough to one-shot armored enemies. The main function of Breach's aftershock isn't actually to frag opponents. This ability is meant to be used from a distance to clear out hiding spots for potential enemies. When you use this ability knowing that an enemy is hiding in a specific spot, this ability will force them to either expose themselves to get out of the aftershock's damage wake, or they will stay where they're hiding and take their chances with the aftershock potentially killing them or just heavily damaging them. If utilized properly, this ability is a nice and safe way to check corners, cubby hiding spots, and the opposite side of walls for potential enemies. This is a nice team use ability because there is no reason to dry peek a corner with an enemy behind it when Breach can clear it out from a distance. Breach's fault line is one of the longest range abilities in the game, and for good reason. Recently, after this ability received a buff allowing his concussion effect to descope players using the operator, Breach's popularity increased and he shot up in pick rate as players of all elos finally had a reliable tool to deal with those pesky AWPers. Fault line is a great tool for clearing areas of potential enemies, and it's an even better tool to create opportunities for your team to push in after you stun an enemy after finding their location. Breach can combine his fault line, aftershock, and flashes to scramble an entire enemy team and force panic on a site. While we are on the topic of talking about long-range abilities with strong concussion effects, let's talk about one of the best ultimate abilities in the game, Rolling Thunder. If you like using Breach's fault line to stun people and drive them out of hiding spots, you're going to love using Rolling Thunder as a get onto sight free ability. After Breach's ult got a buff in patch 1.07, decreasing the detonation delay between blasts from 0.3 seconds to 0.25 seconds, it is now near impossible to run away from this devastating ultimate ability. Breach's ult makes him a very attack-oriented agent at his core. Using his ult in combination with his other 3 standard abilities makes him the best agent for breaking down an enemy team's defenses on sight. Breach's kit makes him the ultimate initiator agent, because not only does every ability in his kit benefit his team, he can also use all of his abilities from a safe distance to allow his team to go in first and create space. While Breach may not be the most optimal agent for defense, he can be used on defense as a sight denier agent by taking advantage of the heavy crowd control his abilities possess. After a barrage of buffs to his kit and new tools to deal with alt players, Breach has cemented himself as a must-pick agent in today's meta, and he is the uncontested best initiator in his class. If you want more help learning about how you can improve your Breach play in Valorant, make sure you check out ProGuides.com. You can quickly upload your gameplay VODs on our website, and we have coaches online 24/7 who will quickly get back to you and help you on your journey towards improving in Valorant. ProGuides.com will teach you the necessary skills to rank up faster, enjoy the game more, and receive premium help from our online coaches. You can book a session whenever you need it according to your schedule. No more time being stuck in your elo. Head over to ProGuides.com to begin the journey to the rank of your dreams. Skye is next in our initiator comparison, and she's shaping up to be a very powerful and influential agent in the game. After analyzing hours of footage from early patch testers, Skye is going to have a great influence on the meta. The design around her kit follows some of the same traits that both Sova and Breach possess, and those traits are long-range team-based abilities, revolving around intel gathering, flashes, and stuns. Skye will be used as a jack-of-all-trades agent when she releases because of the utility built into her kit. She has a controllable long-range flash, a concussive blast ability, a heal, and a near-sight ultimate. While some people might argue that her kit is overloaded with utility, we will need to dive into her kit to see whether this belief is true or false. Regrowth equips a healing trinket that will allow Skye to heal any and all allies in range and in line of sight of her ability. A lot of players will complain about power creep through healing in Valorant. There is an argument in the Valorant community that too many agents have healing abilities, and that this will negatively impact the game if this healing ability trend continues. Riot recognized this complaint and balanced Skye's healing ability accordingly. Regrowth has a resource pool that will be depleted while in use. One of the most important aspects of this ability is that Skye cannot heal herself, and allies can only be healed by this ability if they are in the healing radius and in line of sight of Skye. These are 3 different balancing measures put into Skye's regrowth that make sure this ability is effective at healing teammates, and not an overpowered global sage heal that makes Skye a one-man army. Trailblazer allows Skye to take control of a predator Tasmanian tiger, and while she's in control, she can hunt down her enemies and concuss them in a powerful blast and damage them. Trailblazer is a great ability to scout out enemy positions and clear out a path for your team to move around the map. This ability functions similar to a Sova drone, except instead of pinging them, you can do damage and concuss them for a short duration. This is a perfect enabler ability that your team can follow up on when entering a site. When the enemy team hears her Trailblazer getting close, they either have to stand their ground and shoot at it or run and reposition somewhere else. This tiger also moves at a decent speed and has the ability to leap forward, so hunting down players that run away from you shouldn't be a problem. Now onto the main attraction of Skye's kit, Guiding Light. While this is an early take on an agent that isn't out yet, it is hard not to acknowledge that this might be one of the most powerful and most useful flash abilities to be introduced into Valorant. Skye gets 3 charges of these Hawk trinkets, which gives Breach some competition in the flashes department. The most useful part of this ability is that it can fly and be controlled by the direction of your crosshair, and you are able to control when it detonates by reusing the ability while in flight. This ability has the potential to cause some problems when Skye is really coordinated with her team, but it sure is fun to see new ways attackers can combine utility to break open sites. While we can assume that this Hawk trinket can be shot and destroyed as a balance measure, having a flash that can be curved around a corner at will can make for some insane entry fragging potential when attacking. And on defense, Skye's kit is perfect for retaking sites. Her healing, Trailblazer, flashes, and ultimate is a deadly combo that no attacking team will want to deal with. Skye's ultimate ability is Seekers. Seekers will send out 3 spirits to track down 3 of the closest enemies to her position, and if her Seeker spirits hit a target, they will become nearsighted. This ultimate is great both on offense and defense for sniffing out the nearest enemies and giving their position away. Skye and her team can play off this ultimate and follow it to get free intel on the closest enemy and for the potential to be handed a free kill in the process. Seekers is an intel-based ult primarily because of its ability to find enemies quickly, but in combat, Skye can use this to disrupt the enemy team and land frags for her and her team. You can use this ult proactively and reactively, and it will always yield good results. While Skye is still relatively new and the community doesn't have much experience with her yet, her kit is very team-based and will enable her teammates even more than Sova or Breach can in many different ways. After she launches, we will see if Riot buffs her or needs to tune her down if she becomes too useful. But barring any immediate changes, Skye will be a top contender for the best initiator in the game when she releases into the wild. Next up in our initiator lineup is the all-knowing hunter Sova. Sova is one of the most unique agents in the game for what his main role is. He has damage, intel, and a powerful ultimate. What more could you want out of an initiator? Sova is useful both in solo queue and in a team environment. The tools he has in his kit are invaluable to any team trying to win a game through intel and proxy warfare. His entire kit is built around finding enemies and marking them for his own team to hunt down. Sova's first ability and one of his most useful is his Owl Drone. Sova can equip and pilot an Owl Drone that can fly around and tag enemies that will active ping them 3 times. This ping will reveal their location until the dark breaks. Owl Drone is a great tool to use anywhere on the map to find enemies and call them out to your team. On defense, you can proactively use this drone to clear the area around the site and call out where the enemies could be to your team. On offense, this is a great tool for scouting a path for your team and marking enemies you can find to make the job easier for your entry fraggers. Owl Drone is an ability that not enough players are taking advantage of in game, and honestly, properly using this thing at the right time can be the difference between winning or losing a round. Sova's Shock Dart is a great way to scout out corners and put damage on enemies behind cover. Sova starts off with 2 shock bolts, and making the most of these arrows can land you free kills if you know the map well enough. There are a ton of lineups and ricochet spots you can use on attack and defense to get some free damage off on some unsuspecting enemies. Using Sova's Recon Bolt in combination with his Shock Bolt is a nice way to flush enemies out of a choke or from behind fortified cover. Sova's main ability is Recon Bolt. When it activates upon collision with the surface, it will reveal enemies caught in line of sight of the bolt. If enemies are quick enough, they can shoot the bolt before it pings them to keep their location hidden, and to prevent Sova from actively gathering intel around the map. This is the main ability in Sova's kit for a reason, and defines his playstyle and identity as an initiator. His Recon Bolt can single-handedly win his team around if Sova knows his lineups and how to sneak a bolt into enemy territory. There are many lineups around all 5 maps in Valorant, and it will be wise for fledgling Sova mains to learn many or all of them to give your team as big of an advantage as possible in-game. Sova's ultimate, Hunter's Fury, is one of the most powerful damage abilities in the game if used right. If you can combine his ult with a pinged enemy, there is little to no room for the enemy to run from Hunter's Fury. Sova's ult is the perfect ability to combine with his intel gathering tools in his kit. His ultimate will always create pressure on the map the second it is activated, and if he tags you with it once, there's little chance you will be able to escape his grasp. Sova gets 3 chances with his ultimate to land a frag, and with this ability's wide radius and long range, it's hard not to generate multi-frags and congested choke points with this ability. Hunter's Fury is a deadly weapon when used at the right time. You can use this ability on offense to land a crucial pick to open up a site, and on defense you can use this ability in the clutch to repel an attack before they even get onto site. Sova's ultimate is one of the best damage ults currently in Valorant and should not be taken lightly. If we have to give a crown for the best initiator for solo play, it has to go to Sova. Sova's kit is unique in that he can use his intel gathering capabilities to facilitate his team's push, and he can use his abilities to protect himself and allow him to flank, lurk, and push on his own. A well-trained adept Sova main is someone to be feared in solo queue. He will know all of his Recon Bolt lineups, he will know all of the ricochet spots for his Shock Dart, he will know how to get the most use out of his drone to gather intel quickly, and he will always come up in the clutch with his ultimate to land a series of multi-kills to win the round for his team. Sova's kit is flexible and can adapt to any situation in game. This is mainly because once he uses his abilities to find where you're at, he can either completely avoid you and rotate to the opposite side of the map, or he can W key you and chase you down and frag you, since once he knows where you're at, there's little you can do to escape his wrath. Sova is a pick that is always viable in any team comp and will never let you down if you pick him up by yourself in solo queue. If we're going to talk about the best initiator for team play, then we have to direct this conversation to Breach. After a massive series of buffs Breach received in patch 1.07, he has risen to near S tier in the meta. It's hard to play games in solo queue or in a competitive tournament without seeing him. Every ability in his kit is about facilitating your team and opening up opportunities for them by crowd controlling the enemy team. As pro play comes back, you will see Breach become a mainstay in pro comps because he is too valuable to not have. A well-coordinated team that plays with a Breach that knows what he's doing is a team that will lose very few games. This goes for pro play, and if you and your team picked up Breach in your rank games. There are very few options to replace Breach in this meta, at least until Skye comes out to the general public. But until that day, Breach is the uncontested king for best initiator for team play. Well everyone, that's all we have for the best initiator comparison guide. If you liked the video, then be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content. We upload new videos just like this one every single day, and the best way to stay notified of that is by ringing that notification bell. Don't forget to check out ProGuides.com to gain some access to some truly amazing coaching. Remember to stay safe, and I will see you all again very soon.